welcome to episode 13 of the Friends2Gether podcast. It's middle of April, everybody, would you believe? Who can believe it? It seems like only yesterday we were launching ourselves into 2024. I should introduce you to the people in the room today. So going round to my left, we have Sonia. Hello, Sonia.
Hi everybody.
We have Vicky. Welcome back, Vicky. We haven't seen you for a while. You all right?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
Good to have you back. We've got Em with us.
Hello,
Hello, Em. And we've got Phil with us.
Hi.
Everyone okay? Well, it seems to be a green day today. I'm looking around. Well, two of them have got green on. Two of the five I've got green on. That constitutes a green day, doesn't it? So today we're going to talk about this day in history. So would you believe it or not, I think it's Britannica, the people that do the encyclopedias. They've got their own website now, and they do a thing every day called This Day in History, and it tells you what happened on this day in history. Ronseal, and that's exactly what it says on the tin. So I'm going to surprise you guys with some events that happened on this day in history today. So I'm just going to bring it up. So the first one, on this day in 1912, Harriet Quimby's flight across the English Channel. On this day in 1912, American aviator Harriet Quimby became the first woman to fly across the English Channel, guiding her French, what would you say, Blériot monoplane through heavy overcast conditions from Dover, England to Hardeo, France. Any French speakers? Hardelo?
Yeah.
So, 1912. She was the first lady to fly across the Channel. When was the aeroplane invented, Phil? When would the first flight across the Channel have happened?
If
she was the first woman.
The first heavy than air flight was Kitty Hawk in America. I'm thinking early 1900s.
Yeah.
Obviously, they had hot air balloons before that.
So only a decade later, and Harriet's flying across the Channel.
The Wright brothers?
The Wright brothers, correct. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Do you remember the day? I can't remember.
I thought you were going to say, do you remember the Wright brothers? I'm like, how old do you think he is?
What about the Wright brothers? He's not that old.
No. 1912. So any thoughts on that, folks? Do you reckon you could give that a go, Sonia, if we put you in a little plane?
Oh gosh, yes.
Yeah?
I'd love to learn. I'd love to be able to fly. I was
Why
actually
not?
looking
There
at
you
flying
go.
lessons
It's
at one
a
point.
Friends2Gether podcast bucket list, and we'll get Sonia in a plane.
Yeah. I've always quite fancied wing walking.
Really?
Yeah, I'd do that.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think I know someone that's done it, but I can't remember who.
I know people that have done it, and it's.
I wouldn't like even jumping out of a plane. I wouldn't like to do that.
I remember seeing a long time ago, I was out in the garden and these two planes flew over, and as they flew over the village, the two people on the top put their arms out, and it's making all the hair stand up on the back of my neck thinking about it now. It was just such a cool thing to do. They were doing it for, like part of one of the village shows and things.
Wow.
Yeah. But I know somebody that's done it for charity.
Go on.
And it was almost quite blasé. It was over on the east side of the M25, right away far over, and they were doing like a charity run. But the planes were it was like a conveyor belt. It was like, okay, next one. It's not quite the specialist.
They used to
thing.
have lots of gliders around here. I used to see loads of gliders, especially in summer, didn't they? Yeah, from the airfields around here, and the big old gliders. They're dragged along, aren't they? Just let them go, and then they sort of glide around up there. Has anyone ever flown a plane at the panel here? Anyone? Phil?
No.
Looking at you?
They wouldn't trust me to do that with a plane.
What do they call a pilot? Are you a captain, are you, if you're a pilot of a...
No, you're just a pilot.
Just a pilot, are they? A captain or a pilot. Okay, the pilot.
Yeah, because you can't fit many crew in a light aircraft like that.
Yeah, I don't think... Has anyone ever been up in a hot air balloon?
No, we did it for my dad, actually. For one of his... I think it was his 50th birthday. We all clubbed together, and he was just delighted. He loved it.
Good, great.
Zoe here did it, didn't he? Used to work here. She went up, but they kept... I think they cancelled her like 3 or 4 times because it was always too... If it was too rainy or too windy. It was very weather dependent.
It's very windy.
The slightest little bit, and they won't send them up.
Yeah, well, the red line over in...
That's right, Missenden. They used to go and land in the field there, didn't
they?
they?
used to drive past it all the time, and they were just going off.
Yeah, it's quite a sight, isn't it, when you see loads of them go off together.
Yeah.
I wonder what the time period is before they can send the next one up, so they all crash into each other and have a massive donkey derby.
When we were kids, I can remember it. The hot air balloon went past our house and it came down and the basket went past my mum's bedroom window. We were like,
Oh, that's a bit close.
and then he kind of waved and then they went up again.
Oh, he rescued it, did he? He came back out again.
I don't know what happened, but we were all a bit like,
did that really
close.
I imagine what old Harriet Quimby here in 1912 would have thought if we would said that people were up and down and flying around. It was probably quite an achievement back then. There was an achievement back then.
I can't believe it was only 1912.
Yeah.
That's not actually that long. Okay, it's 100 years, I suppose.
No, it isn't.
But it's no time at all, really.
And sadly, what's really accelerated flight is the 2 world wars in between. It's really...
Did that make them get their act together with technology-wise, did it? And get people up there?
Necessity is the mother of invention.
Yeah, it is indeed.
Yeah.
Second on this day, it's a biography because Peter Ustinov was born. Now, I've heard his name a lot, but if I was to say to you Peter Ustinov, what would you think of?
A lovely, deep, warm brown voice that's got lots of humour. He was a
I
great
think he
humorist.
voiced Robin Hood in the Disney cartoon, I believe. Or was he the sheriff or something? He voiced one of the...
Robin Hood.
He voiced one of the main... one of the main characters in that. Yeah. Vicky, if I was to say to you Peter Ustinov, what would you think?
I would have no idea who that was.
See, it's kind of passed our generation by just a little bit, didn't it? Me and Vicky are a similar age. Peter Ustinov, what did he do?
I don't have a clue.
No?
Nothing.
So it's down to you, Phil, to rescue Peter
he's
Ustinov's
an
whole...
and a raconteur. He did a lot of book readings. He was in some of those vaguely religious Quo Vadis. He was often in the historical...
Oh, yeah, sword and sandal kind of things. Yeah,
he was often a character in those.
The sword and the sandal.
Sword and sandal films, yeah.
Well, I've never heard of them. Explain, what's the sword and the sandal?
Well,
You haven't lived.
History, yeah. Where have you been?
I've never heard that sound before. Sword and a sandal.
Yeah,
like
sword and
Sinbad
sandal.
and stuff like that. Sinbad and all
Well,
those kind of...
Sort
yeah,
of.
kind of.
Sort of.
Yeah?
Yeah.
They tend to be religious, don't they? Sort of,
Jason and the Argonauts.
that's more sword and sorcery. Yeah,
Well,
but no, it's related.
Similar kind of thing.
I'm about to educate you further. Look, Peter Ustinov.
Well, Spartacus, that's right.
Yeah, so he was in Spartacus, but who would he have been in Spartacus? He wasn't the main guy, was he?
No,
it
he
was
would have been
Kurt
Spartacus.
Russell. It was
He'd
Kurt
have
Russell's
probably been
dad.
a slave owner or possibly a Roman senator.
What was Kirk Russell? Was he the guy, the main guy in Spartacus?
Kirk Douglas.
Kirk Douglas, yeah, he was the main guy, wasn't he?
I'm
In fact,
I'm Spartacus. I'm
Spartacus.
Spartacus.
In fact, didn't you mention it the other day, Spartacus? Didn't you say it had been on at Easter? Was that what you were talking about, or was it that film where they said Jesus
that was
on?
Ben-Hur.
That was Ben-Hur.
Yeah, that was Ben-Hur. But yeah, similar kind of thing.
I believe he's won 2 Academy Awards, so he's won 2 Oscars.
Yeah.
I wonder what for. Look.
I remember he played Hercule Poirot in Death on the Nile, of course.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's
Quo
not...
Vadis, that's the one I'm thinking of.
There you go, and he voiced King Richard in the Walt Disney animated film
John,
Robin Hood.
I see him being Prince John.
He also displayed a unique cultural versatility which frequently earned him the accolade of a Renaissance man. An intellectual and a diplomat, he held various academic posts and served as a goodwill ambassador to UNICEF. There we go. I've heard him mentioned quite a lot, but I wouldn't know. I probably recognise him in some of them films, wouldn't I? Spartacus particularly. Okay, next on this day in history, the South Korean ferry Sewol, travelling from Incheon to Jeju, capsized and sank, killing 304 people, most of whom were high schoolers. Wow. That was in 2014.
Wow.
I don't remember seeing that on the news.
It's 10 years
Do you
ago.
anyone remember seeing that on the news? No, I don't.
Horrible.
2007, in one of the deadliest mass shootings in the United States, 33 people, including the shooter, were killed in the Blacksburg, Virginia campus of Virginia Tech shootings. I've heard of the Virginia Tech shootings. That was 2007.
My ex-daughter-in-law went to Virginia Tech.
Did she?
Yeah, she was actually over in the States when,
It's a good school.
when it all happened. Yeah.
What do they teach there then? What do they specialise in? Is it just...
I'm not
what'd she do?
sure, but she was an entomologist. She studied bugs and that kind of thing, sort of biology.
She'd love all your tales about the rats and stuff, wouldn't she? 2003, at age 40, Michael Jordan, widely regarded as the best player in the history of basketball, played his last game in the NBA. 40. I think he made a comeback after that, you know. I think he came back again.
Yeah.
And he must have all the money in the world, but when you get to that level of a sportsmanship, I guess it wouldn't be about the money, would it? It would be about proving you can still compete. 1962, American journalist, I've not heard of this guy, Walter Cronkite
Yep.
became anchor of the CBS Evening News, a position he held for nearly 2 decades, during which time he became known as the most trusted man in America.
Oh, that's a rarity,
Isn't it just?
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah. 1948. In order to restore the economy of Europe after World War II, 16 European countries formed the Organisation for European Economic Cooperation, later to become the Organisation for Economic Cooperation and Development. Is that what we left in Brexit? Is that a similar thing?
Yes.
Yeah, it's the nowadays EU.
EU.
The idea was if you integrated all the economies of Europe, they wouldn't be able to fight each other.
Yeah.
And to some extent, that has been the case.
It works.
It's much more sinister than that. You have to go. If you are interested, you can read the book. It's
I'm interested.
Yeah. It's called the Third Reich and the descendant of the Third Reich.
Yes.
So if you want to go in there, you can find that European Union was in the head of the Third Reich leaders.
So it's planned all along that they were going to go down that route.
So the winners of the Second World War, they continue.
In the plans of the supposed losers. Yeah. There you go. And that was on this day in 1948. So it would have been shortly after the World War's finished. 1943 is a good one for you folks. Swiss chemist Albert Hofmann discovered the psychedelic properties of LSD, a drug he had first synthesised in 1938. What's in LSD then? Who's any chemists amongst us? Phil, you're a chemist, aren't you?
Yeah.
What are the components of LSD?
I wouldn't be able to... LSD, if that's an abbreviation of this chemical name, I don't recognise it. There's just one thing that does interest me on these drugs. I think this isn't particularly controversial.
Yeah, I've got it for you. Lysergic acid.
Yeah, that's why I couldn't remember.
Diethylamine?
That is, scroll up a bit. Okay, you see those rings? They're called benzene rings. And a lot of
what those?
Yeah. Well, the one at the bottom is a perfect benzene ring.
Yeah.
The 6 with the alternate that's perfect benzene.
Yeah.
And then there's other benzene derivatives. It's not that complicated. But I don't know. Is it ever made from a plant, or is it always?
Well, he said synthetic, though, didn't he?
It is synthetic. Yeah.
But a lot of them, especially the opioids. They're made by things like poppies and they're sympathetic. Now you have to ask, how is it that a flower can make something that's so exquisitely sensitive and specific for a person? That is just weird beyond belief. I mean, there's no way that should be.
Well, you think it's similar to like poison ivy and stuff like that.
I think we should go back to the history of mankind. Doesn't matter what year we have referrals to. All the civilization throughout the history of mankind, they were using different kind of drugs.
Yes.
And
state-enhancing drugs, I guess they call them, don't they?
Yeah.
Things like aspirin. They were. Yes.
Yeah.
That's another one.
Or Pythia in ancient Greece. I mean, she was chewing up leaves.
Yeah.
And throughout the history, humankind, they were using pharmacopoeia, as it's called, from the nature.
But plants use these chemicals as defence mechanisms. That's what they kind of evolved for, is to stop them from being eaten.
Being eaten by animals.
I can see that for toxins.
Yeah.
Somebody eats it, they drop
berries, kind of.
They drop dead before they finished eating you. But to give them a sort of high sort of thing, well, how does that do the plant?
Well, I guess it's strong enough to kill an animal, but when a human takes it, it's not going to kill the human, but it's going to have a certain poisonous effect on the human.
No, I like that. I like that's possible.
But not enough to kill them, but enough to obviously poison their system in some way.
I mean, it might not even be related, but there's a thing about moose eating fermented apples, and then they all get drunk and go on a rampage around Canada.
Elephants are terrors for that.
And chimpanzees as well.
If they let a banana plantation, they don't pick them soon enough, they start to ferment, the elephants have it, they think, this is all right, and next thing you know, they're raiding the villages for pots of alcohol.
Wow.
Yes.
We were saying, someone was telling us yesterday that they went to Gibraltar and that the monkeys worked out how to open the zips on the bags now.
Oh, they're not stupid.
Nah,
They're stealing.
they have to keep them in front of you so you see them, because at the
They're
back they
stealing
open them
everything
up.
you got,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, unbelievable, isn't
Well,
it?
the other thing is with monkeys, and this is totally unbelievable. They're not monkeys, they're...
Apes.
Chimps.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, but they're related. They will unzip the bags, take something, and then, because they can't actually use them themselves, they wait at the top of a tree. You have to throw things up at them that they want.
And they'll give it back.
Yeah, but it has to be good enough. It's
You have to exchange, you know,
Oh, yeah.
give them food.
2 apples, not just 1 apple. It has to be 2
they'll
apples.
wait until they got what they think.
Do you have to show them 2 apples and then they go, yeah, I love that?
Well,
Yeah.
I don't. I've seen pictures. I've seen videos. I don't think it's Photoshop, but and there's monkeys up there. So it's, one goes up, and eventually when they toss up enough, it grabs them and it just drops the other. It's incredible.
Like
Talk
in
about
India,
monkeys
there
as
is a certain type of macacos, if I remember well the type, and they are in certain temples.
Yeah.
Yes.
They're doing the same thing, and you have to exchange food, with them to give you back whatever they stole from you. So they are very clever, and they're learning
That's
too
amazing.
fast.
Do you think they have a little chat each morning and say, well, the going rate for a
Yeah.
iPhone today
Yeah,
is
they have a
3
meeting.
bananas
Yeah.
and a
I
grape?
think it's like coping behavior. They've
Yeah.
seen their ancestors.
Oh, there's very
Yeah, they're very
strong
clever, yeah.
similarities with people.
Fascinating.
Shout out to Molly, obviously, as we're talking about monkeys after she got punched by a monkey. Similar to, we tried pinching her crisps, didn't it? And she kind
Molly
of fought
said
back.
she didn't get
She
punched.
tried.
Yeah, she
It's a
did.
running
If you
gag.
squeeze your monkey's fingers in there, they're going to have the needle and they're going to whack you, aren't they? No wonder she got punched, to be honest. If you was trying to get her crisp and she pushed the old packet down, she's going to get punched, and she's just antagonising the poor things. Shout out to Molly there. 1922, British author Kingsley Amis, who created in his first novel Lucky Jim, a comic figure that became a household word in Great Britain in the 50s, was born. So what was that all about then? Anyone care to educate us on Lucky Jim? That's over my head. Maybe the plot of the book will reveal it to us. Like, plot: Jim Dixon is a lecturer in medieval history at a red brick university in the English Midlands. He's made an unsure start, and towards the end of the academic year is concerned about losing his probationary position in the department. In his attempts to be awarded a permanent post, he tries to maintain a good relationship with his absent-minded head of department, Professor Welch. To establish his credentials, he must also ensure the publication of his first scholarly article, but he eventually discovers that the editor to whom he submitted it has translated it into Italian and passed it off as his own. Blimey, the plot thickens. Like, I don't know why he's called Lucky Jim. It'll come back and... Literary significance and legacy. When originally published, Lucky Jim received enthusiastic reviews, blah, 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 blah. Let's see if we can find out the cultural significance of this. No, I've never heard of that sound, though, a Lucky Jim. Let's see if we can just go a bit broad. Let's open our scope up a bit. What is a Lucky Jim? Let's ask Google, our friend Google.
Well, I think he just means they're lucky.
Must do,
I don't
eh?
think it's anything too...
No, there's nothing too symbolic. Yeah, nothing, just on about the booklet. He's stealing a living, this lad. Have you ever read any of the other books by this guy, Kingsley
I don't
Amis?
think the Lucky Jim thing took off, did it?
Did it
Doesn't
not?
sound like
Well,
it.
did with us.
Doesn't sound like it.
No last.
Yeah. Sounds like Kingsley's book career didn't...
Well,
it
until
must have taken
Netflix
off.
serialised it.
You seem to know, Sonia. Have you ever read any Kingsley Amis books?
No,
No?
But-
Not that you know of.
but I met his son once.
Ah, did you?
Was he in the skating team? No. Sorry.
No, Martin Amis. He was.
Oh,
he-
he's a famous author
Yeah,
too.
he
Is
actually
this-
went to school with a friend of mine.
Is this to do with
many
the time
years
that you
ago.
met
That must have
Torval
been
and
pretty
Dean?
good school.
Sonia? Is this linked to the time you met Torval
No,
and Dean that you can't
no.
talk about? No? No.
No,
Martin Amis, did you date him?
no,
No?
no. I was dating somebody else though at the time.
Somebody famous? Torval and Dean. It's all coming back to us now.
No.
With the truth
No.
out.
No.
From Tales of Sonia's
So I can feel myself going
childhood.
really
She's
red.
blushing
Yeah,
here.
I
Look.
don't think you're pushing
She's
her
blushing
a
here,
bit.
yeah. So from Tales of Sonia's teenage love to 1917, look, Vladimir Lenin ended his 17-year exile and returned to Russia to form a provisional government. I bet no one's ever made a seamless link between your teenage years to Lenin returning to Russia before, have they?
No.
Yeah,
No.
well, it's an interesting story. I know, you probably know. Yeah.
Come on, hit us with it.
He was in Switzerland.
Yeah.
And then he was ordered, I'm not going to mention by whom, to go and start the revolution of October.
It was the Germans.
I'm not going to mention who.
I mean, the funny thing is, the Germans thought this would be great. We can really mug up the Russians by sending this revolutionary. And there's this ambassador, not German diplomatic expert who did this. And you must, by the time they had this great Russian opposing them afterwards, I don't reckon his
idea was his
career progress was enhanced by that. He did another thing as well. It was Zimmerman or Zuckerman, something like that, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Because his other great idea was to get Mexico to declare war on America in the First World War.
Yeah.
So he sent them this telegram, which was intercepted by the Americans. I don't think his job was that safe after those.
No, it seems a bit of maybe that's where Inspector Clouseau got it. Was that character that yeah. Speaking of America, look, 1908, Natural Bridges National Monument was formally established in southeastern Utah. Does anyone know what the Natural Bridges National Monument is? Let's have a look. We shall educate
your knowledge.
You. Yeah, anyone know? Let's have a look at it. What is it? It is...
It is a natural bridge. It's made of sort of sandstone-looking thing. You wouldn't get me.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
That, yeah.
There, we can see a picture of it now for those...
over the top of it, but...
Wow.
Anyway, if you want to do plain walking...
It looks very... sloping at the sides, isn't it?
Would you walk in that bridge?
Yeah,
No chance.
I think I would.
Oh, you would.
Okay.
You two that going up in your aeroplane a minute ago. You'd be
I don't know.
fine to go
I
on
feel a
that.
bit nervous.
The brave ones over there.
That does, look
I
like
wouldn't
that does
do
look like a very wide-angle lens, though.
It features the 13th largest natural bridge in the world, carved from the white Permian sandstone of the Cedar Mesa Formation that gives White Canyon its name. They've got 3 bridges in that park. Look, I guess they're Native American words, but Kachina, Okomo, and Sipapu. I probably murdered those, which are all Hopi names. What are Hopi? Yeah, the Native
Hopi
Americans.
Indians,
They're a
yeah.
tribe, yeah. Wow, it's caused by the erosion of water over time. Right, that does look impressive, doesn't it? Natural monument completely, yeah. It does exactly what it says on the tin, doesn't it? It is a natural monument. Beautiful. Humans have lived in the area around natural bridges since as early as 7,500 BCE, as shown by the rock art and stone tools around nearby sites. Blimey. Next, French forces in 1838. We're taking you way back here, look. French forces occupied Veracruz, Mexico during the Pastry War. Does anyone know about the Pastry War? Never heard of this before.
I've heard of it, but I don't know much.
Yeah, look, the conflict began after a French pastry cook living near Mexico City claimed that Mexican army officers had damaged his restaurant. It's a bit of a petty little grievance started a war, did it?
They think they've stole my pastry recipe.
Yeah.
looking for a fight, I think, French.
Let's have a look at this. This is where there's some further
Pastry.
Mexico and France.
How have I heard?
You've heard of it,
Well,
have
I
you?
never.
It's not one you're going to forget, is it?
Have they made a film about this? Look, during the early years of the new Mexican Republic, there was a widespread civil disorder as factions competed for control of the country. The fighting often resulted in the destruction or looting of private property. Average citizens had few options for claiming compensation as they had no representative to speak on their behalf. Foreigners whose property was damaged or destroyed, or rioters or bandits, were usually also able to obtain compensation from the Mexican government, and they began to appeal to their own governments for help and compensation. Blimey, where's the actual...
Well, it was so funny if you were one of the 700 people who were killed.
So it all kicked off over a pastry, apparently. I think that other lot did a nice summary of it, didn't it? Like, a French pastry cook living near Mexico City claimed that Mexican army officers had damaged his restaurant, and it all kicked off in the province. Wow.
There's a similar one in North America, the pig war. I like it because it says under casualties, it says 1 pig.
They were fighting over a pig, were they?
A pig had gone from the British bit to the American bit, or vice versa, and eaten some of the seed corn and the corn of the other nationalities.
Yeah.
So the opposing people shot it, the pig. the farmer.
Poor pig. She's doing what a pig does. It's eating, yeah.
Pig.
And so the other people tried to get their country to declare war on...
Over a pig?
Yeah. The two commanders of the opposing garrisons sort of had a meeting. probably had a laugh too and said, no, we're not fighting over that. They declared peace again.
Imagine them going, if we let them get away with a pig, who
Yeah,
knows what will be next?
there'll
There'll
be
be a
a herd of
horse,
cows,
there'll be a cow.
Yeah.
We've got to send a message out to these people.
We mean business.
Right, we're going even further back here. Look, 1755, painter Elizabeth Vigée Lebrun, I've probably murdered that, known for her portraits of Queen Mary Antoinette, was born in Paris. And I guess that must be one of the pictures of Mary Antoinette. Let's have a look at this in some more detail. Look.
I was going to say, it's very unusual to have a lady painting
Oh, there we go, look.
Especially back then.
Yeah.
Here she is, look, Mary Antoinette.
You know what is famous about Marie Antoinette?
Go on.
When the French Revolution of 1789 happened, it was famously said, what are they asking for? They said, they are craving, more food, bread. Yeah. And she said, so why don't they come over here? I'm going to give them some pies.
Yeah. Let them eat cake.
Yeah,
Let them eat cake.
Yeah, exactly.
She looks older in years there. She looks like she's got grey hair, do you reckon? Or is she a blondie?
Oh, that was probably the fashion at the time.
Was she?
They used to powder their wigs.
Really? Make
yeah,
themselves go grey?
Yeah. And pale skin was a very fashionable thing because it meant that you didn't work in the fields.
That's right.
I didn't have to work because
I
you're
think
so
that's
rich.
Exactly.
That's why over here our judges and everything, they're wearing those wigs.
Oh, the white wigs?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's from that time, it's true.
She was executed at age 37, look. She was the last Queen of France prior to the French Revolution. She was born an Archduchess of Austria. Was she born in Austria then? Looks like it, yeah. Austria, look, Vienna. How did they manage to swing that then to make her...
It was a marriage.
It was to seal a diplomatic.
Yeah.
They wanted, I think the Austrians and the French tried to...
Back then it was, I think it was Austria-Hungary.
Austria-Hungary, you're right. Yeah.
Who did she marry then? Let's have a look. She became
Louis
daughter of
XVI.
France.
Yeah.
Blah, blah. Louis, her marriage to Louis Auguste, heir apparent to the French throne. Her husband ascended to the throne of Louis the... What's that?
16th.
16, then she became queen. What's all this about then? Like, the affair of the diamond necklace. She was falsely accused in the affair of the diamond necklace, but the accusations damaged her reputation further. Anyone know anything about the affair of the diamond necklace? I'm about to educate you. Are you ready?
Go on.
The affair of the diamond necklace was an incident from 1784 to 1785 at the court of King Louis of France, which involved his wife Marie Antoinette. If we click on it, it will give us more information.
That's a hell of a
The
piece of
Queen's
jewellery.
reputation, already tarnished by gossip, was further sullied by the false accusation that she had participated in a crime to defraud the Crown's jewellers in acquiring a very expensive diamond necklace that she then refused to pay for. In reality, she rejected the idea of buying it only to have her signature forged by that person, Jean de Saint-Remy. Although Jean was later convicted, you want to muck around accusing the Queen, would you?
No.
You'd get your head cut off. Probably, I'm sure he did. He was trying to stir it up, apparently, by the look of it. She wasn't very popular. I'm not surprised she got beheaded in the end, didn't she? Like, by the look of it, execution. Let's have a look at death. Why was she killed then? Anyone want to earn 5p and guess why she died? Any politics behind it?
In the French Revolution,
Someone else took over the country and cut her head off.
Yeah. But the guillotine was invented because they found that chopping people's heads off with an axe was too slow. So they mechanised it. Exactly.
It was more efficient.
Yeah.
And,
so they mechanised it.
And more humane
Yeah,
way.
It's true, because when you chop people's heads off with an axe, it wasn't always...
I cannot see
It wasn't normally in one go. Exactly. It was horrible.
I cannot see the compassion on, on chopping somebody's head.
Having 2 or 3 goes or more at it.
So the husband went first. Charged with treason against the French Republic, Louis was separated from his family and tried in December. He was found guilty by the convention led by the Jacobins. Is that Jacobins or Jacobins? Who rejected the idea of keeping him as a hostage. On the 15th of January 1793, by a majority of 6 votes, he was condemned to death by guillotine and executed on the 21st of January 1793.
That's my birthday. Well, not
there we
1793.
Go. Seamless link. Yeah. So the husband's been taken out. Like the former queen, now called Widow Capper.
That's like you have the House of Windsor, House of Stuart. That's
the Widow Capper. Plunged into deep mourning. She still hoped her son Louis Charles, whom had exiled, had reckoned blah 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 blah. Yeah. How was she taken out then? trial and execution. Marie Antoinette was tried by the Revolutionary Tribunal on the 40th of October 1793. Some historians believe the outcome of the trial had been decided in advance by the Committee of Public Safety around the time the Carnation plot was uncovered. She and her lawyers were given less than 1 day to prepare her defence. Among the accusations, many previously published in the libelles were orchestrating something in Versailles, parties for adults, I can't really say what it's called, sending millions of livres of treasure money to Austria, planning the massacre of the Garde Française, National Guards, declaring her son to be the new king of France, and something else I can't mention, a charge made by her son Louis Charles, pressured into doing so by the radical Jacques Herbert who controlled him. Blimey. She was found guilty and beheaded, was she? Let's have a look.
Yeah.
Marie Antoinette was guillotined at 12:15, that's very specific, on the 16th of October 1793. Her last words are recorded as "Pardon-moi, monsieur, je ne le fais pas faire exprès." Or, for those who could understand my rubbish French, we've discussed on the podcast before how awful I'm at it. "Pardon me, sir, I did not do it on purpose," after accidentally stepping on her executioner's shoe. Mm-hmm. So he took her head off after she showed the good grace to apologise for standing on the executioner's...
Did she stamp or did she step?
Yeah, she dug the old heel in and tried taking his foot out, did she? Madame Tussauds was employed to make a death mask of her head.
Nice.
Her body was thrown into an unmarked grave in the Madeleine Cemetery, located close by the Rue d'Anjou. Because its capacity was exhausted, the cemetery was closed the following year. Blimey. There we go, Marie Antoinette. How do we get on to Marie Antoinette? This lady that used to paint her. There we go. 1746. Where's EJ when we need her? Look. An English army defeated a Scottish force under Charles Edward Stuart, Bonnie Prince Charlie, at the Battle of Culloden, ending the Jacobite effort to restore the Stuarts to England's throne. So the Jacobites teamed up with the Scots, did they, to try and overthrow the English monarchy? The naughty Jacobites. Who were the Jacobites?
So this is the losing side after the Civil War, and there again, the descendants of James II after the Glorious Revolution. I imagine James translates to Jacobite or something in Latin. So there was this line that said we're the rightful kings, and they were called the Jacobites.
And they teamed up with the Scots to try and overthrow.
Yeah, that's where the most of the
Stuarts apparently. Oh, they were trying to restore the Stuarts to England's throne, so they weren't on the throne. Okay.
They had the old pretender, the young pretender. The Culloden was fought with the young pretender. It got as far as Manchester or Derby, I think, when they invaded England.
Is that where Chrissy Hine got the idea for the band name?
Who? Sorry, I see. You got me there.
The Pretenders.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
It probably is linked to that, actually, isn't it?
Could be.
Yeah. Our last one of the day, 1646. We're going way back here. Look, architect Jules Hardouin Mansart, who redesigned and expanded the Palace of Versailles. How do you say that in Paris? Versailles. Was born in Paris. Okay, so he's the guy that designed it as it is today. Has anyone ever been to this Palace of Versailles?
Past the palace, and it's absolutely beautiful.
Let's have a look at it.
So it wasn't an enjoyable experience.
I'm about to show you the beauty.
I have been as well.
You have?
Yeah. Isn't it?
It's beautiful, but too big.
That's massive. Yeah, look at it.
I
Christ.
want to pay the heating bill.
Yeah, no.
There was actually a fantastic series on BBC about Marie Antoinette and Versailles. In fact, it was called Versailles.
It was, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic series. And
Yeah,
they explained how they showed over a passage of time how this quite modest kind of manor house eventually had all these wings and bits built on it.
Well, yeah, look, it says once a humble hunting lodge, the opulent Palace of Versailles is now a magnificent testament to the lavishness of French royalty and a symbol of the inequality that incited the French Revolution. Who started the French Revolution? Is it allocated to one person, like one incident or anything? Did something like the incident earlier with the pig and was there one incident that finally made it all kick off?
John, what did you study in history when you were at school?
That's not well, you know my ability for listening.
Yeah.
I didn't really teach us about any of this stuff, honestly.
Well, I understand. If they didn't teach you can't know. But what did they teach you about?
Well, when we got to 14, Phil, they said you could either do geography or history. You didn't do both.
Yeah, it's limited because you're only allowed four
Yeah,
options.
that's right. Yeah,
Okay.
so we had to choose between
Just
geography.
crafty, arty.
Yeah.
Something educational like geography, history,
Yeah.
or RE,
Yeah,
or in a language was one of the options. So yeah.
you had to do a language. Yeah, French or German. We had to choose between those two as well. They gave you a year of each, and then you had to decide which one you had to do. But yeah, it seems mad.
I mean, bring it today. It is different now. Kids
Yeah.
have a lot more choice in what they want to excel in.
Yes.
Because not everyone's good at.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I harbour a grudge
if you're
there.
bad at French, you like to be bad at German as well.
Yeah, I was awful at French, as we've discussed.
French.
So as we've discussed previously, I don't know if you were on the podcast, but I told you, Vicky, that during my French oral exam, I was getting everything wrong, and my French teacher was getting more and more exacerbated. And she said, "You're going to get one question right today. If it kills me." So she asked me what table was in French, and I was like, "I don't know, pantalon." And she slammed her thing down and walked out the room. And everyone else in the class was laughing. And I was like, how am I supposed to know what that is? And they were like, it's table in French, it's le table. So I know what le table means now, it's table. Pantalon's trousers, I know that because I said pantalon. That's pretty much.
The pressure's off, all that learning suddenly wells up.
Yeah, le table, pantalon, où est la gare, where is the train station?
Yeah.
I know that as well. I know aller tout droit, tourner gauche, tourner droit. Le poisson, isn't that a fish?
Yes.
Yeah. No?
Was it
No,
Poisson. Poulon is a chicken, isn't it?
That's a
It's
fish.
Poulon
poisson.
chicken.
No,
Yeah.
Poussin. Poussin is
Poussin,
the
yeah,
chicken.
similar.
Yeah, it's the same.
Poisson.
Or-
And there's also poison. which is
J'habite à tu, I
poison.
know that as well. Where do you live? J'habite à tu. Je m'appelle John. My name is John. Like, I've got it all.
I bet-
I don't see why you didn't pass your.
No, French.
GCSE.
I
Nah,
think get up to degree level there.
I think so.
What about white, as in white wine?
Blanc.
See?
Yeah. Noir is black, isn't it?
What?
Yeah. Black is noir.
Rouge.
Yes. Yeah.
Rouge is red.
Red. Yeah. Yellow. Oh God, I don't know what yellow is.
Jaune. Oh, sorry.
What is it? Le yellow. Is it simple?
What's better? It's green. One of them.
Violet.
Yellow, jaune.
Jaune. Yeah.
Jaune.
Must be.
Yeah, Jaune. Yeah.
Ooh,
The sun?
now you're testing me out here, isn't it? It's something really like lie or something, some really stupid little 3-word thing, isn't it? Like le solar.
Yeah, soleil.
Sol.
No,
Soleil.
sol is
After-
Spanish, isn't it? So,
Oh well, turn
Soleil.
to sol. Turn to sol means turn to the sun,
yeah.
which is a sunflower. Turn to sun.
Ah,
Well, I thought it was sol.
soleil is sun.
Soleil.
in
I've
French.
actually been to France 3 times. Would you believe?
Really?
I went to
Oh.
Cap d'Arge on the south of France, one of my first ever holidays.
But your friends didn't improve.
Yeah.
No, it didn't
Learn
actually.
one word every time he went.
All I remember about that trip is I can't really talk about it on the podcast, but I might tell you about it afterwards. It was during a personal develop. It was a personal development of my body during the long trip down to France, which makes me never forget it. And it was the first time I pretty much remember falling in love as well. There's this girl. I was going to say young girl, but I was young at the time as well. Yeah, I remember her. She came from Essex.
Was it beautiful?
Mate, she's beautiful, mate. Yeah, made my heart. Even now, my heart. I can't remember her name though. That's the problem. I remember I befriended her brother to try and get nearer to her. I remember his name was Danny, and I can't remember her name.
The reason first love is more intense is because it's the first time your body
Yeah.
experiences. It's like the
yeah.
first.
Yeah.
That was probably much the reasons that I
Well,
can't talk
sorry,
about. Yeah.
that does sound a bit unromantic.
And
doesn't
I
it?
do remember they had a storms there, and there was these massive waves, and we weren't allowed to go in the ocean. But my mum, being my mum, was like, "Hey, go on, it's fine in there." I remember lizards. They had these big lizards just running around. And I've been to Euro Disney twice as well. There you go.
That's not really France. It's in France, but it's not really.
Well, we
is it?
caught is it the metro? There's another bit of French for you there. We caught the metro from where we were staying into
Le weekend. Le
yeah, we
picnic.
went over there for the weekend and then came back the same weekend. We're just losing all of our French listeners here, aren't we?
No, they're just laughing. They're just laughing at us. Oh, les
I
Anglais.
hope to God this
They're
is
long
picked up in
time.
France.
They'll all say, "Oh, les Anglais."
Yeah.
Le roast beef.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They call us roast
Le roast-
beef.
Do they?
Yeah.
Racism.
Le roast beef.
The thing is, well, I can't really remember the time I last.
No,
ate roast beef.
exactly.
No, I don't eat meat, so I can't remember the last
Oh,
time.
les Anglais. Well,
So that's this day in history. So we've learned. Well, I've taken a trip down memory lane there of all the history of the world, and I can't remember any of it by the 10 minutes' time, I've forgotten it all, Phil.
Oh, basically...
Test me out. Come on, hit me out. What am I going to remember?
The treasury was empty because, well, it wasn't just the extravagances at first sight, it was also continued wars. There was another war looming with Britain, I think, or someone. So the only way to get more money was to call in the Parliament to okay some more taxes.
Yeah.
And once the Parliament was sitting, they didn't disband, and that was the start of it. Yeah.
Right, so this website here has summed it up, Phil. The French Revolution began in 1789 and lasted until 1794. King Louis needed more money, but had failed to raise more taxes when he had called a meeting of the Estates General. This instead turned into a protest about conditions in France. I think they're kicking off at the moment, actually, aren't they? On July 14th, 1789, the Paris mob, hungry due to a lack of food from poor harvests, upset at the condition of their lives and annoyed with their king and their government, stormed the Bastille, a prison. Why are they storming the prison? To release their mates? Or
It would be like storming the Tower of London, you know. It's like...
I think if you're going to storm somewhere, a castle would be the last place you'd want to storm. When he storms like a straw house or something, that'd be much easier to get down, wouldn't it?
It's like...
Is that where the three little pigs came from?
Like fighting the revolution, but if you storm the prison, it's breaking it down, isn't it?
Yeah, it's making a point.
It's like, going against the
You burn
authority.
it down the police station. It's a symbol of authority.
Here it is. Look, this turned out to be more symbolic than anything else, as only 4 or 5 prisoners were found. They were trying to get their mates out. In October 1789, King Louis and his family were moved from Versailles, the royal palace, to Paris. Is Versailles not in Paris then?
It's just outside.
Just outside, yeah.
He tried to flee in 1791. The plot thickens. He didn't flee very fast. 2 years later, he tried to flee. It was a very slow fleeing, isn't it?
It wasn't obvious at the start what was going to
It
happen.
was secretive fleeing, was it?
And back then they didn't have airplanes, I think.
No. I mean, they needed that American woman to come and sail them over the channel, didn't they?
Well, at the time,
100
Paris
years
was
later.
very, very smelly and nasty, and
How
that's
do you
the
know?
reason why. Well, only because I've watched this series, Versailles.
Yeah, it was good.
So
Is
they
it on
built.
now?
It was on iPlayer, but it's
It's
not.
iPlayer.
I don't think it's available at the moment. But keep an eye
Just
out
keep an
for
eye on
it.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, it was a really, really good series.
So it sounds like he was forced to reform the way France was formed, and agreed to set up a new form of government, replacing the power of the king. A legislative assembly governed from 1791 to September 1792, and was then replaced by the National Convention. The Republic of France was declared, Vive la France, and soon the king was put on trial. Obviously, it was a proper revolution, this, wasn't it?
It was Napoleon. It was.
Was he?
It was around
Napoleon was
Napoleon's
behind
time.
it, was he?
Yeah.
The revolution became more and more radical and violent. King Louis was executed. In the 6 weeks that followed, 1,400 people who were considered potential enemies of the Republic were executed.
Yeah, so anybody.
You will be
that
first
was-
against the wall.
Exactly.
Yeah, blimey.
Yeah.
Many historians now regard the French Revolution as a turning point in the history of Europe, but also in North America, where many of the same ideas influenced the Declaration of Independence and the American Revolution. The famous slogan, liberty, equality and fraternity, called for every person's right to freedom and equal treatment. Across France and the rest of Europe, the consequences of the revolution were huge. There were many new developments, including the fall of the monarchy, changes in society with the rise of the middle classes, and the growth of nationalism.
And
There
that's
we go.
all new to you.
That's all new to me, yeah.
Yeah, because don't forget, anybody that was like senior or well off, they all felt threatened, you know, because they thought they were next.
They're
And they
next
were
in
worried.
line.
At the time, they were really worried in England that it would kind of spread here, and you know the great
Chance
unwashed,
would be a fine thing.
the
Hey.
great unwashed would follow suit. So a lot of French people actually, you know, came here to England, but
Did they?
yeah,
What,
but
to
they
try
were
and
worried
kick off against the English?
Well, no, to run
Or
away.
were they?
To
Or was it
run
the smell
away.
in Paris that you mentioned? Maybe they were fleeing from that.
Apparently, it was really quite awful.
Doesn't
especially
bear
in the
thinking, does
summer.
it? Like,
Is that why we think that their personal hygiene is not as...
I don't know. Maybe it's.
do we?
Delete that.
Do we? I've never heard that before.
We think about the...
No, I've never heard that before.
We do.
No, I've never heard that before.
Might
Honestly.
want to edit that out then.
I,
just-
Yeah,
I think I would
I've never heard
err
that
on the side
before.
of caution on that one. Yeah.
Well, they improved all their perfumes.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Not about washing, but they used to mask the smell with
Yeah,
perfume.
yeah.
I know that.
There's a great book called Perfume by Patrick Suskind, actually, which goes into that. It's like based around the perfumeries of the time. But there's this one guy, the main character in the book, his sense of smell is so great that he can smell beyond the... It's quite a symbolic thing about he can smell evil in people, so he hates humans that much because he can smell their evil deeds, and he goes to live in the woods in the middle of nowhere. Pat Suskind.
I mean, it's got
Perfume by Patrick Suskind.
Yeah,
he can smell their evil doings, and the stench of humans becomes too much for him, and he goes to live in the woods on his own, and he can smell when there's a human coming from miles away because of the smell of their bad doings.
It's like the people that they can see auras.
Yeah.
Yeah, same sort of thing, isn't it?
Same thing.
See the inner person by what they're exuded. Yeah.
Have you ever had your aura read, Vicky?
I don't think so.
Not intentionally.
Not that you were aware of.
Sonia?
No.
Ever had any
No.
dealings with your aura?
No.
Have you been introduced to your aura before? No. Look in the mirror.
No.
Phil, have you ever...
I used to do tarot
Did you?
readings, yeah,
Oh, wow.
which is quite interesting, really, because it's psychology, really. I mean, we don't want to take it too seriously, but if the cards sort of represent sort of types of emotions and people and so forth, you can often bring it out. You know, just look at them yourself, think, oh, that might be that. It sort of acts as a sort of catalyst to thinking. Yeah.
I had my tarot read by the lovely Steph, who used to be one of my guitar students, but her carer came to pick her up and she left before she could tell me what it meant. So she laid all the cards out, I had to choose them all.
Oh.
And she goes, I'll tell you what they mean next time. And she I never...
Do you remember any of the
I
cards?
took a photo of it, actually, Phil. So can you do a reading?
took a photo?
Yeah. Do you want to take... Does that kill the aura of the
No,
cards? Or
if it's... It depends on the spread, the way the cards were laid out.
It was like
a moment in time.
I'll go and get it.
Might be. Yeah, take it with a pinch of salt.
Someone said they'd read my tarot once, and I just thought, that's not really for me.
Why? Because you're worried
Putting you on the
about
spot
what it
here,
might-
Phil.
No, it just didn't. It was a bit fluffy, and I thought, well, that could be anything.
Well, it is a bit fluffy. I mean, and what you don't want to do is get absolutely, oh God, now I'm going to die sort of thing.
Yeah, I better not ask you, eh?
Yeah,
in
but
case
the
anything-
executioner card just means a change.
Yeah,
It's just end
course.
of something,
Well,
and
yeah,
there's
there's
and the
the
beginning
famous,
of
I saw it on a
something
film
new.
once. There's one of the cards is death.
What?
Yeah, it's death. Skeleton.
You absolutely don't want.
Well,
Yeah, but it means
as
a
Sonia
change.
says,
Yeah.
it means the death of something that changed something else that might be better. Well, I saw this film once where someone was doing a reading.
That's a nice topic for discussion.
Yeah, isn't it? There you go.
No. That's a nice
Phil?
topic for discussion. How much is do we believe in kismet, that everything is
Pre-planned.
Yeah.
Destiny.
Or we make our own destiny. I mean,
Phil is now looking at the cards that I drew that famous day.
That's
I've just given him the
amazing.
photo
How
of
long ago
it.
was this?
Probably about a year ago when we moved back. No,
right.
It's not a tarot deck.
no.
I don't know what it
you're
is.
still alive, so that's positive.
Cards,
You
but it's
know.
not a tarot deck. Yeah. Tarot deck is basically, it's where the
Oh, they're like angel cards or something.
yeah,
Fairies, I don't know what they are.
It'll be something. I'm
La
not saying anything wrong with
pendu.
it,
I
but
know there's
I just don't know it. Yeah.
somebody hanging up by one foot.
Yeah. Oh, well,
What does that
there's-
mean then, Sonia?
Oh, I don't know.
There's-
Those aren't tarot cards.
There's 20 main cards, things
Yeah.
like death.
They read
Love
the
it.
fake tarot cards for you.
apparently so.
And then there's
You've been hoodwinked.
I've been
there's
hoodwinked.
suits of
Steph,
cards,
what have you done to me?
swords, cups, coins, clubs. Those cards are the origin of our.
I was going to say those sound
Yeah.
like the
Clubs are
forerunners.
clubs.
Yeah.
Swords are spades, coins are diamonds, and I think cups must be hearts which does look a bit like a heart. So it's the origin of, yeah.
Let's have a look. In
Suits.
fact, why do playing cards
They're quite nice looking.
have...
Very
beautiful,
attractive.
actually.
Yeah. They
Quite more
usually
interesting now ones.
nice paintings.
Yes.
You make
How
nice
can I word
paintings
this?
and-
Why do playing cards design the way they are? That
Jokers,
do,
I
right?
don't know.
Some historians have suggested that suits in a deck were meant to represent the four classes of medieval society. Cups and chalices, modern hearts, might have stood
Okay.
for clergy.
I like that.
Swords, spades for the nobility or the military.
that sounds
Coins,
reasonable.
diamonds for the merchants. And batons, clubs for peasants.
Yeah, so that covers all.
Doesn't
yeah,
it?
All areas.
I thought it was like
all
French,
levels.
like nobility or something. There we go. French design from the 15th century. The idea of card suits is much older. The written history of cards playing began in the 10th century Asia, from either China or India. What's that game they used to play in China? Was it tic-tac-toe or something, wasn't it? Was it with the dice and the little things? Yeah, it was something like that. It was called...
It's mahjong. People play mahjong. That's more like dominoes. Mahjong is more like dominoes.
Is it?
And you build walls.
Okay.
And actually what's really nice is when you get all the tiles together, because you have to face them down on the table and then shuffle them, and that's called twittering of the sparrows, because as they're knocking each other together, it makes a little,
so
like
very
tinkling
tactile,
sound.
the mahjong tiles. I suppose classically they've got a bamboo...
Dragons.
I suspect it might be ivory on the other side. Yes.
Yeah.
So their suits are bamboo.
There's a wheel.
Wheels, yes. Circles. Mm-hmm. There's one more which I've forgotten.
What's this? What Chinese invented?
Time.
Yeah.
I've actually got a mahjong set at home.
That's, in fact, we'll have a look, Phil.
We used to play it.
Famous Chinese inventions. Em will go, that was Greek. They've ripped it off from us.
Everything. Oh.
What have the Chinese famously invented? The south-pointing chariot.
Paper, I think.
Paper, the paraffin, gunpowder. Not a lot, by the look of it. Porcelain.
Oh no, the Chinese were there.
Paper making.
On a lot of things.
Wooden block printing. A wooden block, there you go. What do they call them? The old ends of the font types?
Oh, serifs.
Serifs,
I think they were the first used movable.
The wooden ox. What's that for? It's like a child's toy or something, is it?
Was that a thing of
a cart?
torture?
It's a cart, apparently. The two-wheeled cart. Greece, knock anything like that out before that?
I'm sure they were much more sophisticated.
Yeah, much more sophisticated. They had 4 wheels by that stage. Yeah.
And in fact, bonsai trees originated in China.
You do surprise me.
Long before the Japanese got hold of them.
I know that the Chinese, they call the Greek civilization Silla, which means the other civilization.
Oh, that's interesting.
So they were aware that there was another country on the other side of the planet.
Yeah, the list of Greek inventions. What's an acrolith?
Is the lithos is the stone. Acro means at the end, so it's a stone that you put.
Aerodynamics.
Yeah, it's another Greek word. Aero is wind.
Oh, sails and boats. Air and water pumps. Alarm clock. Made the alarm clock. Alchemy. There you go, Phil. If it hadn't been for the Greeks, you'd been a nothing in your career.
I was nothing.
Algebra. The analog computer in 1901. What are they knocking around with that for?
Algebra. I thought that was Arabic.
Yeah, you'll be proud of this one. You'll be proud of this one, Em. Look, anarchism. It's a Greek concept. Look.
Yeah.
Anarchic attitudes were first articulated by tragedians, such as, how do you say all that one?
Aeschylus.
And
in Greek it's Aeschylus.
Sophocles.
Sophocles.
Yeah. Who used the myth of Antigone.
Antigone.
Is a Theban princess and a character in several ancient Greek tragedies. She's the daughter of Oedipus, king of Thebes. Her mother is Jocasta. In another variation of the myth, her mother is Eura.
So is that, sorry, this might go weird, but is that after the Oedipus complex?
Yes.
Yeah.
What's that mean?
So it's when your mother is your attraction and your dad is your love rival.
Yeah.
It's
the Oedipus complex.
It's a Freudian thing.
So they made the ancient Suez Canal. Do you know that?
I'll give you something to think about. Yeah. In Egypt, we have Aswan. Yeah.
Yeah, the dam.
Yeah. Read it backwards. Is Nausa. It's a place in Greece that's called Nausa. We have Suez Canal.
Yeah.
Read it backwards. Is Zeus.
Oh.
It is. I never thought that.
Yeah.
They invented the aqueducts as well. Look, artificial intelligence. You've got a lot to answer for here. Look, despite the legends and myths of the Greek mythologies, many ancient Greeks believed that modern mechanisms could have their own will despite human labour to use them as tools. Blimey. In the 3rd century. This is just aim.
Well, that's very forward-thinking, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, was
automation.
that the first artificial robot?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, they came up with. They said that it says there that they could see a time when machines would be able to think for themselves. A water clock. Have you got one of them? Is it called a
Yeah.
clepsydra?
Yeah, clepsydra, yeah.
Is a timepiece by which time is measured by the regulated flow of liquid into a former vessel where the amount of liquid can be measured.
Actually, there is a museum in Athens that you can visit.
All the different ones.
Yeah, it has all the ancient Greek inventions.
Oh, wow.
So if I was to ask this, let's have a look here. Let's say, what is Greece's most famous invention? Let's see what Google reckons. What do you reckon it's going to come up with, folks? The top 10 key inventions and innovations. Democracy.
Philosophy, yeah.
Philosophy. Geometry.
Philosophy.
Cartography. The odometer. What's an odometer? Oh, to measure.
Yeah.
The water mill.
Measure of smell.
Yeah. Of those is a street, so metro is meter, so odometer is,
The crane.
The crane, yeah.
And the medicine.
Archimedes,
Medicine.
I think, invented that, yeah.
Medicine, there we go. Are you proud of all of them?
As proud as I can be.
Are you responsible for all of them?
Yeah, indirectly. Indirectly, I'm sure your ancestors were.
Probably.
Perfect.
Yeah, but what a legacy.
What a legacy.
That's incredible history, isn't it? It's like these days when I meet modern day Egyptians, and I think, well, you come from a long line of, historic people in our history.
Do you ask them if they know Tutankhamun? Did you know Tutankhamun? Was it a friend of yours? There we go. Thus concludes another episode of the Friends Together podcast.
Just enjoy yourself.
Yeah. Time flies when you're having fun there. We learned all about the pastry war and the pig war, a lot about Greek inventions. What else have we learnt about? The French Revolution. All of which I'm going to forget all of this within 10 minutes. You realise next week I'll be like, what are you on about?
I reckon you were taught it, but you forgot.
Probably, yes. I was probably dreaming of football or guitars at the time, staring out the window, lured off by women and drinking. The wreck of many a poor boy. Women and drinking, eh? Did you go down that route?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was the class nerd. I put it down to late puberty myself.
Yeah.
Couldn't see what all the fuss was about.
Yeah. Good stuff. So that concludes, which could be the last in our current series, couldn't it? Until we, if we're doing 12-week blocks, so we might have to. The next one might be. Yeah, you missed out on that, Sonia. So you're a late arrival. So we're on about doing 12-week blocks. So, but we will. The bad news is this might be the end of the first 12 weeks. But the good news is we'll be doing another batch of 12, whether it's Chesham or Aylesbury or both. It could be one in Chesham, one in Aylesbury.
Okay.
But season 2, exciting. What have you learnt from season 1 then, folks? What's been your take home from the podcasting? The process of podcasting, Sonia. What have you most enjoyed? What have you least enjoyed?
I just having that time out, just that moment in time, just to sit and. Hello.
Good time.
You've mentioned the secret word and won the prize.
Yeah, the good thing about podcasts is the weight of permanence, isn't it? If you've expressed something that you feel passionately about and in a really eloquent, nice way in amongst a group of other people, and you've kind of educated them and they've enjoyed it, or you kind of feel proud of it. Yeah, and it's recorded forevermore, isn't it? And you can look back on it and go, I quite enjoyed that chat, and getting to discuss that with people that might not have necessarily known that before. Yeah.
Have we ever had any feedback from listeners? Or
yeah, stop! Don't ever darken our door with your podcasting again. No, nothing. No fan mail. I did have some fan mail, didn't I? I don't know if it wasn't specifically to me. It was to do with the actual podcast in general. We had some feedback on various parts of it, what people had enjoyed and stuff. We did. Yeah, we did. And we do have regular listeners. We do. Yeah, I regularly have people quoting little bits from it and saying, and I have no idea what the hell they're on about at the time. And they're like, last week in the podcast you discussed this. I was like, of course. And I probably give away too much of myself during the podcast, don't I? Mm. So if an artificial intelligence computer wanted to clone me or whatever, they could just listen to this podcast and like listen to all my nonsense stories and make a clone of me, couldn't they? Vicky, what have you learned in your two episodes? Two appearances.
Episodes. A bit like Sonia, I think it's quite nice to just sit and talk and hopefully learn new things.
Yeah. What have you enjoyed and not enjoyed about season 1?
I enjoyed the fact that you can have a discussion and exchange of ideas.
Yeah.
When the other people say.
You don't often get a chance to do that, do you? Even at Brew and Biscuits or some of our other groups, you don't tend to talk about some of the subjects that it's specific, isn't it, the subjects that you took to talk about.
And as someone very famous said that as long as we live, we learn. Socrates said it.
Yeah.
And it's the exchange of ideas.
I thought you were going to say Bob Hoskins. It's good to talk. It's good to talk.
I was going to say every day's a school day.
Yeah, famous.
Oh, that's good. Good sayings, yeah.
And Phil, what have you learnt from season 1?
No matter what you believe, you can always find evidence for it on the internet.
Yeah. Whether that be false, true, open to interpretation, open to abuse.
Yeah.
Positional,
exactly.
Truth is positional. Yeah.
Of course.
It's my truth, as they say.
Because at the end of the day, there is not one truth.
No.
I mean, each one of us has his own truth. The way that he understands things, the way that he thinks that's the correct way or the truth. So we can argue all day long what is truth.
Well, there's that famous, I don't know if it's Greek or what, there's like the shadows of a certain letter, isn't it? From the front it looks like a T, but from the side, to anyone that sees it from that side, it's an I, isn't it? Because it's
okay, very good.
It's like
T kind of
it's like if you know, everybody knows the United Nations building, yeah.
Yeah.
If you see it from one side, you're gonna say, "Oh, it's a small, thin, building,"
and that's true. Yeah.
So if you go on the other side, 108 degrees,
Yeah.
you're gonna see a massive building like that.
Yeah.
So
Which is also true.
Everything is
So
perspective.
not one person's not right. They're both true. So there's more than one truth out there.
There's that visual thing that, is it two, it's probably not ideal for podcasts, but is it a vase? Is it two faces? Is it,
What's that psychometric testing they do with that, isn't it? Like you see symbols, is it, what do you see in it? Is it butterflies or a pair of butterflies?
It's like the paradox of Fermi, that they say, I mean, how can we know that both of us, we see the same color?
Yeah.
We might call it the same, but actually do we actually
see the same? Yeah. Mm.
Isn't there another famous Greek philosopher that says, "I think, therefore I am"? Is that the right? Is that the right?
In ancient Greek,
Sorry. That's sounded pompous.
Is en either or to then either. I mean, it's one I know that I don't know anything.
I think, therefore I know.
Yeah, I think, therefore I am.
I think, therefore I am.
That's Descartes.
How can we improve on that? What way to end it? I think, therefore I am. Is that right?
Yeah, he was saying if you doubt everything, what's the one thing you can be certain of? The thinker must have a
I think it was like very early days of philosophy, wasn't it? It was like he was like profound for just coming up with
Is that the guy that got hit by the apple on the head?
That's right. So
you do this just to irritate me. I know you are.
He's just winding you up.
That was William Tell, wasn't it?
Well, as we discussed on one of the early episodes, that's where clapping came from, wasn't it? Because in the Greek courts, would you call them, like the courts when they first?
You mean
they used to go down and slap them on the back, but the courts grew bigger and bigger, and people couldn't all get down and slap them on the back, so they started clapping.
Agora is like a marketplace that they all gathered over there, and they have to make a decision about something. Yeah, those that they're sitting on the back, they had to clap their hands. Yeah,
because they couldn't all get down and reach them, so they started clapping, which is one of the things we learned on one of our very first podcasts.
Fascinating.
We've learned a lot. It's been a laugh. We've had laughter. We haven't had any tears, have we? We've had any tears? We might have had some tears along the way.
Someone that he used to be in love with, his first love.
Yeah, we learned all about my first love. Although I just had another first love. I'm very flaky, aren't I? I think that's about the third first love that I've discussed on this podcast, actually. I discovered the other day she's unfriended me on Facebook. I don't know if that was before or after the incident on the podcast. That's her now. I nearly gave you her name there. That's why you tried to trick me, aren't you? You were getting my colleague to ring me and so I'd reveal the name of my first love. Though, this concludes Series 1 of the Friends2Gether podcast. Goodbye, everyone. Let's go around and say goodbye.
Available from all good retailers.
Yes, available from all good retailers. And the weight of permanence, as I said, it's available on YouTube forevermore and Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
Future archaeologists will be looking at this.
And so let's tell everyone as we say goodbye who was in the room today. So to my right we have Phil. Say goodbye, Phil.
Goodbye.
We have Em. Say goodbye, Em.
Goodbye, everyone.
We have Vicky. Do you want to say goodbye, everyone? And we have Sonia.
Cheerio. See you next time.
Come on, at least do your
Take
usual
good
one.
care.
Yeah, take care of each other and each other. What's the saying?
Be careful out there.
Yeah, be careful out there.
Well, yeah, be careful. Let's just started to
That's
come down.
That's serious.
What a sign! That's the sign to end the podcast. Like started the biblical how
the world ended. Yeah.
that is the world has ended because the
Hailstones.
podcast has ended.
I'm waiting for the pestilence and the frogs and the
I can't
toads.
remember. Was it
Is that why you're wearing green today? Is it?
The locusts.
Locusts? Death of the
My God, there are locusts.
The Let's Be Frank podcast is brought to you by the Oasis Partnership, a charity providing high-quality social and psychological support services to improve people's mental health and well-being. We deliver socially inclusive, open-access support for the wider communities of Buckinghamshire through pioneering and innovative partnerships and initiatives. Oasis provides free and subsidised health and wellbeing classes and support groups for the Chiltern area, including mindfulness, yoga, fitness, art and music. Oasis also helps support people to reach their full potential through our substance misuse treatment service, Routes to Work and outreach service. The Oasis Substance Misuse Treatment Service is provided in partnership with Inclusion, part of Midlands Partnership NHS Foundation Trust, delivering one recovery bucks. The Let's Be Frank podcast was launched in tribute to the memory of long-term Oasis patron and world-renowned cinematographer Frank Hodge, and is recorded in the Frank Hodge Podcast Studio, our new community podcasting facility launched in his honour.
Test, so make sure we've got no crackles or anything on my mics there. Now that hasn't actually worked. It should see me talking there. Look, I'm a bit loud still. Let's zoom in so we can see. Let's hit record again.